Next question. What plans do you each have to improve the educational system of Escambia County? Mr. May, you have 3 minutes.
Education is key. We've consistently cut the educational budget. I mean, I think about $100 per student, and out of the last budget, over $300 million was cut for education. We have to fund education adequately. I think that every child deserves a good quality education, regardless of what district that child lives in. In order to do that, we must cut it. What we must do, the local officials and the state officials must work together. We obviously know that we have budget constraints, but the last place that we should look to cut is the education for direct instruction to our pupils. If we have to look at cutting, we will look at administration, and we'll look at other sources of cutting. But we certainly should never look at the opportunity of cutting funding for our educational system, because the cure to good economics is good education for our children. And so we must continue to fund education in whatever means we have to use to cut in other areas, do more with less. That's what we'll have to do. But I certainly would not support cutting anything with education. I certainly would propose legislation to pay our teachers. I would certainly look at the merit pay with our teachers to recruit the best. I would like to look at programs down the future of Grow Your Own. When children, Bright Futures programs, when they do well in Escambia County and they do well in the state of Florida, that we reward them by encouraging them to come back home and to work in their community. So I certainly would support funding education. Certainly would not support decreasing any funding education.
I think if all of us realize the value of education, and I taught school a year. It's a tough way to make a living, so I stayed 1 year and then decided it's easy to be a lawyer. Went to law school. My wife don't particularly like lawyers either. I'm kind of tired of looking at them, so I'm looking forward to retiring, so I don't have to do that anymore. With the exception of Fred Gant. He's here somewhere. I like Fred. He served he served on my board of trustees at Legal Services for a long time. My wife taught 2nd grade and 5th grade, and I served as president, unpaid president of a school district of 35,000 students for 3 years. So I'm well acquainted with the education problems. The problem we have here in the state is that our budget's gone down from $72 billion at the start of last year, and that's with a B, to $66 billion by mid this year, and the forecasts are it's going to go down another $3 to $4 billion. That you cannot avoid some reductions in across the board. Education and healthcare makes up about 70% of our budget, about equal among the two. The rest of it takes care of everything else. 1% for the court budget. The rest of it takes care of public safety and so on and so forth. So it's very difficult to avoid those. The option is to increase your taxes. How many here would like to have their taxes increased? You know, it's tough to do. One of the things that we do, I support requiring at least 65% of the school budget being spent on the classroom, at least 65%, so that you don't spend too much on administration. Further, we've authorized a study because North Florida doesn't get its fair share in the school distribution formula. It's gone to South Florida, down the southeast portion of our state. So that study that's underway now that the legislature authorized is $75,000. And I don't like to spend money for studies because most time I think it's a waste of time and money. But in this case, we're never going to be able to justify getting an increase in our school distribution money unless we do that study and can show them in black and white that we're not getting a fair deal.